Welcome everybody. We're here in Locker Room 2 in Orlando, Florida at the ESPN Wide World of Sports Center. And we just wrapped up day one of some fantastic American Inline Hockey League playoffs as we take Ratcast on the road all the way to Florida. On my left is Ruppy Haley. Rupp, we've seen a lot of hockey together. What jumps out at you today about the playoffs?
A couple of things. Number one, Dave, all of the top seeds advanced. And not only did they advance, but all of those series were indeed 2-0 sweeps. And beyond that, one thing I'd be amiss if I didn't discuss the fact here that going into tomorrow's games, what a couple of matchups we have at the elite level. The Western Conference, the San Jose Pirates taking on the Huntington Beach Elite Squad. And in the Eastern Conference, the Long Island 495ers in their rematch from last year with the Pittsburgh Bandits. And if any of tonight's action to end the evening is any indication of what we're going to expect to see tomorrow, it's really going to be something else, folks.
Can we say that we broke out the brooms today?
Quite a few teams broke out the brooms today.
We ran out of brooms, basically.
Indeed.
And over on my right, the Commissioner, Anthony Flynn. And Flynn, give us the breakdown of what actually happened today.
Well, sure. We'll start out in the East Coast, or the Eastern Conference. In the Elite Division, the defending champions defeated the Georgia Syndicate 2 games.
That would be Pittsburgh.
That'd be Pittsburgh, right? Both games were pretty lopsided in the favor of the defending champs. The other series was probably the best opening round series we had, was the 495ers against the Savage Wolves. As we talked earlier in some of our broadcasts, the 495ers found themselves down 4-0 in the first period of their first game. Came back, won that game 5-4. I believe they won their second game in overtime.
And they were down 3-1 in that one too.
They were down 3-1.
So the 495 was playing catch-up hockey all day.
Probably the best series we've had.
And they advanced.
In the minor league, in the Eastern Conference, the number 1 seed South Jersey Ice Dogs took care of the Georgia Syndicate pretty easily in that series, while the 495ers took care of the Richmond Robins pretty easily. Now those two teams are matched up in the conference final. On the West Coast, we had a situation where we had byes in both, so we had only 1 series each in the semifinal. The 2 and 3 seeds in the Elite Division, we had the Huntington Beach Elite taking on the Phoenix Dragons, and the Dragons, they hung in there the first game, but the second game it got out of the Phoenix's hands, and the Huntington Beach, a very impressive team, ended up in the conference final to play the San Jose Pirates.
Who had the bye as the number 1 seed.
Right, also in the final last year. In the minor league, we had the Ripon Savage defeating the Tucson Slayers. Ripon looked very good early. Very good early in the first game, dismantling the Slayers. In the second game, we had a 1-goal game with 10 seconds to go, victory for Ripon. So they found themselves in the conference final, and that's how we got ourselves to 4 teams left in both the elites and the minors, and that's where we stand now.
So as we mentioned, in the Eastern Conference, we have a rematch, and Game 1 was played tonight, and that was a fantastic game between the Pittsburgh Bandits and the Long Island 495ers. And on the other side in the elite matchup, we had San Jose Pirates, as you mentioned, taking on Huntington Beach, and that was more of a lopsided game. Huntington Beach really taking it to the Pirates.
Sure, so San Jose wants to get back to that championship and maybe enact some revenge if it happens to be Pittsburgh. They got a long road to climb because they were just shellacked in that first game today.
And then in the minors tonight, we had the Ice Dogs.
The Ice Dogs and 495ers played probably the best game that I've seen here the whole tournament. Just back and forth, and the 495ers came out on top 5-4, but I expect that series could go the distance. If it doesn't, we're at least going to get another exciting game tomorrow morning.
And then in the West minors, we had Ripon taking on.
Yeah, Ripon took on the Corona Ducks, and much like the other conference final in the West, it just was not a matchup. Corona just disheveled, just destroyed Ripon. I mean, Ripon, did have 2 games earlier in the day, and Corona didn't play at all, but it wasn't even close.
So we'll be back tomorrow, which would be Sunday here, back at the ESPN Wide World Sports Center, and we'll have in the Elite East, Long Island taking on Pittsburgh again. And
Which
in the
should
West,
be quite a game.
Oh, they have some bad blood there, spilling over from last year.
Yep.
And then in the West, we have San Jose taking on Huntington Beach again, and we'll have our 2 minor matchups as well. So, for Ruppy Haley, Anthony Flynn, myself, Dave Goddard, a big thanks to Mario Souza, who's been working camera on all the videos that you've seen on the new website.
RD Who.
RD Who. Yeah, we want to shout out to RD back home, and also out west, Doug Wallace. It's been unbelievable here, Doug.
Send a pizza.
We wish you were here. So signing off from day one of the AIHL Finals. Good night.